Good afternoon, and welcome to the afternoon version of the Morning Signal Preparedness Brief. Here's what's developing, why it matters, and what you can do to stay ready. Please like and subscribe if you find this content worthwhile. Top story is still Iran. Iran remains in a state of near total internet and phone communications blackout imposed by authorities as widespread protests persist. The shutdown is extended for more than a week, severely constraining independent reporting and isolating the population from the outside world. Reports from human rights monitoring groups indicate heavy repression accompanying the communications blackout, with thousands of deaths and tens of thousands detained during the nationwide unrest. Internationally, there are ongoing discussions about providing satellite internet alternatives to circumvent the blackout, including consideration of satellite terminals that would function similarly to Starlink. Why this matters: a deliberate communications shutdown amid mass protests is a classic regime survival tactic. It inhibits information flow, complicates independent reporting, and signals the government is prioritizing control over normal governance. Practical actions. Plan for communications failures by having offline contact plans and paper backups in critical numbers. If in an area with digital suppression risk, use mesh or off-grid communication tools like GMRS radios or community mesh networking, such as Meshtastic or MeshCore. U.S. cellular infrastructure disruption. A major nationwide Verizon outage disrupted voice, text, and data services across the United States earlier this week, affecting services for millions and prompting advisories that emergency calls might be unreliable. The outage was widely attributed to a software or network issue, not a cyber attack. Service has been largely restored. However, the incident highlights the fragility of centralized communications infrastructure. Cell network outages can occur without warning and significantly impair everyday life and emergency coordination. Practical items and actions that you can take: maintain alternate communications methods such as landlines, secondary carriers, short-range radios, and, yes, you guessed it, Meshtastic. Keep devices charged with power banks and have essential contact information accessible offline. U.S. domestic security. Protests linked to federal enforcement actions are ongoing in Minneapolis and other cities. Local officials have noted confrontations with federal agents, and there are active legal, political, and operational debates over federal roles, use of force statutes like the Insurrection Act, and local governments. Large demonstrations can disrupt mobility, access, and public services. Practical actions: no alternate travel routes and avoid high-tension areas during peak activity. Keep fuel levels above 50% in your vehicle to ensure flexibility. While this specific week's tension focused on Iran and domestic infrastructure fragility, broader geopolitical conflicts, including sustained pressure in Ukraine and Indo-Pacific tension, continue to underpin systemic risk. Economic signals. Gold, silver, and Bitcoin remain useful as real-time stress indicators. If these assets move sharply, traders and risk managers interpret that as rising uncertainty in global markets. At the time of this recording, Bitcoin is actually currently sitting at 95,200. Gold is sitting at 4,600 even, and silver's at $90.23. Practical actions to take during these geopolitical and economic spillovers: maintain emergency cash rather than speculative positions during these periods of elevated risk. Keep essential food and household supplies for at least 30 to 90 days, and have physical possession of metals such as gold and silver. Key preparedness watch items: communications, offline backups, radios, and mesh networks for local group coordination. Infrastructure: alternative plans for disruptions to cell networks or internet access, backup power sources for short outages as well. Mobility: plan detours and travel safely. Safety routines around protest nodes. Economic flexibility: liquidity focus over high exposure to volatile asset swings. This brief uses verified high-impact signals to show where systemic stress is growing and wraps them in practical readiness actions. Stay aware, stay ready. This has been the afternoon edition of the Morning Signal. End of brief.